fulfilled what I imagine to be a fair amount of life goals by now. Of course, you've worked with Tom Cruise, you've been in the Star Trek franchise. I mean, working with the 5 living members of the Monty Python must have been quite surreal and brilliant for you.
It was extraordinary. And, just the fact that it was Terry was a huge reason why I took the job in the first place. It was the reason I took the job because I've grown up a fan of Monty Python, and I love their comedy, and I have a huge appreciation for what they've done for comedy, the effect they've had on it. So to actually work with them felt like, a bit of a gift, really.
Of course, I mean, this is tragically the final film that Robin Williams made. I was just wondering if you, because he's a voice artist in this movie, but did you spend much time with him? And if so, I mean, what was he like off screen? Was he as kind of enigmatic and just funny and charming as he always was on it?
I didn't meet him. Sadly, he did all his voice work in LA. It wasn't required of him to come over, And as consequently, the one regret I have about this is that I didn't get to shake hands with him. I've always very much loved him as a comedian and a man, an actor and a man. Because was an extraordinary person off the camera as well as on. And I was obviously, worried after I'd come to terms with the loss of him that it might be sad, his inclusion in this film, that people would watch it and feel a degree of sadness. But it was a relief to sort of not feel that in seeing the film. There's a great sort of energy to his performance, which actually makes it really kind of lovely to watch. It's a celebration of him, and because it's not his face in a way, it's like his spirit is there inside Mojo. Not that I kind of buy into all that kind of stuff, but it was surprisingly uplifting to watch the movie and have it be a celebration of Robin rather than a kind of requiem,
And it must be great also to watch the movie back when you've shot so many scenes talking to nobody, effectively. When it's all put together, it must almost be like, are you able to watch it more like an audience member would than being a part of it in the sense that it's so new to yourself as well?
Well, it was a surprise, seeing, Mojo, who played Dennis, actually being Dennis. When you combine Mojo with Robin, you get Dennis. And to see those scenes when he was basically just looking at me, to see him suddenly, his mouth moving and him saying stuff is incredible, and all the other special effects that are involved. Yeah, it's always nice to see those just out of interest, because on the day you're just play acting, which is essentially what acting is. But you do know eventually you are going to see blue energy coming out of your hand, or this dog's going to be talking, or there's going to be zombies in the high street. So it's kind of it's always just out of curiosity to see it. It's great fun.
And I know you like those because I used to serve you in the pub, and you used to come in every now and again on Sunday morning with a lovely little dog that you had.
Oh, Minnie, yes.
And I was just wondering, did that therefore make it quite easy to form a kind of bond with Mojo? And if that, I mean, did it therefore make it quite moving when you had to kind of say goodbye to this project? Because dogs are not as easy to keep in touch with as humans.
Absolutely. There was a sadness there. Mojo was an incredible dog. He was very trained, and it wasn't like you were allowed to... I was the only person on set allowed to have a kind of physical relationship with him, and when I say that, I just mean, touching him, nothing more, nothing romantic. Because he's so trained, and you've got to be very careful. And I became very protective of him, because there was a lot asked of him on set. He had to do some quite complex things. And I'd be a bit sort of defensive of him if he didn't do it, because he's just a dog, So, and then the last shots we did were of me sort of rescuing Mojo from the river, which we did in a big tank at Pinewood. And I was like, felt really bad for him because he didn't like it. And so when I said goodbye to Mojo, it was a genuine sort of sad occasion, because I got a real sort of bond with him. He's a great dog.
I'm going to ask you a question now I'm sure nobody else has asked you today.
What would I do if I could do absolutely anything?
What would be the first thing you'd do if you could do absolutely anything?
I would be very meticulous in solving the problems that face the world at the moment. I think you would have to be extremely precise in the wording of it. The one thing Neil learns is that you can't just say end global warming or end hunger, because the ramifications are so vast that it causes more problems. So you'd have to very carefully sit down and just address what's wrong with the world. And it would take a long time, because there is a lot wrong with the world. But it would be the biggies, intolerance, acceptance, equality. It would be poverty. It would be climate, all that stuff. Nail it. Create a paradise on the planet would be great.
Of course, one of the things that I think a lot of people would do if they could do absolutely anything is write a new Star Trek movie, which you have done. Was it quite hard to distinguish between the fan and the professional kind of writer, or do you actually think that the two combined made for actually quite a triumphant experience for you?
I think it's good to come to... certainly myself and Doug Jung are both fans, and it's important to know the story. It's a gift as a writer to write with characters that you know, whose voices you've heard for a long time. So I think it's been a help, if anything. I think if I had the power to do absolutely anything, I would just simply say, write the best Star Trek film ever, and it would just happen. But as it is, you know, we're having to do it the old-fashioned way.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Ted.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!